Well, this is quite a ride, so to speak. I mean, an amazing... No, stop it. Well, let's go there for a minute. I'm fascinated by the way that you made this film, both of you. So, you've mentioned, Sean, that you had seen Mikey and you met her and you knew that this film had to happen. But then you went through a process of developing it. And Mikey, I understand you did a lot of research. How do you even begin to start researching sex workers? Did you meet people? Did you reach out to people? What did you do?
Yeah, well, my research started slowly at first. So I read memoirs that Sean sent me. I watched documentaries. I started watching YouTube videos, like a night in my life as a dancer, just really anything that I could get my hands on. And then I met some really incredible consultants that we had brought onto the film to talk, and that was really amazing, really important part of my research.
So Sean, you brought in consultants who have been working in the sex industry, or?
Yeah, for this film in particular, we had Andrea Warehunt as our chief consultant. She wrote a wonderful memoir that, if you're interested in the subject, you should check out. It's called Modern Horror. She wrote about her life as both an escort and a dancer. She's Toronto-based, but we felt her experience, her lived experience, very much applied to the Annie character. She was wonderful. She read my first draft of the script, gave us notes, told us what was accurate, what wasn't, what had to be, she gave us an incredible amount of detail to stuff that we worked in there that I think you would only know if you were living in, or if you worked in that livelihood. And she was able to Zoom and consult directly with, and Mikey had conversations with her. And then, of course, we had other consultants who came on through the dancing scene, dancers who were very much involved. And I have to say, Lindsay Normington, who plays Diamond in the film, she is an actor / dancer. So she was part of the first labor movement for strippers in North Hollywood, in the United States, the first labor movement in the United States for strippers. She's an advocate for sex workers, a major one, and so, yeah, their voices were so important to this process, because we simply wouldn't have been able to, know all these details, all this inside baseball stuff that we got.
Yeah. So in a way, you're almost sort of working from things that have been written, have been the conduit to that kind of thing, and yet you get to the point where you have an incredible, full-blooded human being in this character. You've mentioned as well that that you two talked. There was a lot of discussion in the year or so between you being cast and the script being finished.
Right.
So, were there particular moments in that process where you were getting something from Mikey that was specific and unexpected, or was Sean feeding things to you, Mikey, that was giving you direction about where your research would go?
I think that happened closer to production. I mean,
Right.
as we were, in our prep and in pre, when we were all living in Brighton Beach,
Right.
and we were frequenting that club headquarters, where we would go and we would sit there for hours and
okay.
observe, and Mikey would shadow dancers. She absorbed so much of it.
Wait a minute, you say, okay, so you were going to a club, an actual public club.
That actual club, yes.
That actual public
Yes,
club,
yeah.
okay. And you were shadowing people. Did the management know that what you were doing?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah, they were
I
very
just-
much involved. Yes,
Right,
actually,
okay.
the club was found by our incredible location manager, Ross
Got it,
Broder,
okay.
and I really liked the layout of it. Originally, in the original script, it was more of a traditional club with a stage and pole dancing, and now that there's this new wave of these gentlemen's clubs that are essentially lap dance clubs in which there's an interaction that happens on a floor and then they go to a side room or a back room. I thought that was something I had never seen in film and TV before, and I really wanted to tackle that. I thought it was a very different aspect of that world that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, yeah. So, what is it about the sex industry that you are drawn to as a filmmaker? And Mikey, what are the revelations that you found in actually creating a character? You said you have you've discovered a lot of empathy for the work, or for the workers, let's say. Tell us what that's about for each of you.
Sure, yeah, I think I went into my research quite naively. I can't say that I really knew anything about the sex work community or what that kind of work would look like. And so my eyes were completely opened to this incredible group of people who I now really admire and would, like to be an ally for forever. So yeah, it was amazing, and I made so many incredible friends who are involved in sex work, and it really informed my character. I think if I hadn't have done any of that research, the performance would be very different. I would say it was the most important thing that I could have done.
Yeah, and before I get into my backstory, I just want to mention that the beginning of the film, that first 5 minutes before Annie meets Yvonne, or is brought to his table, I just wanted to show the mechanics of that club and what a night in the life of a dancer like Annie would be like. And so we shot that stuff very differently than we shot the rest of the movie. That stuff was, I had Robert Altman on my mind, where I said, we're just gonna set up this club, have it basically up and running. I mean, we knew everybody, obviously. There were background actors and dancers interacting with them. But we even had our producer DJing and playing music over this scene, which is normally a no-no. You're not supposed to marry music with your location sound, but I wanted the vibe. I wanted to see everybody feel like they were actually in this active club. And then we had Mikey with a wireless mic, and I had an earpiece, and with a telephoto lens, we just followed her around for 10 minutes. That's how long we have on a 35mm magazine of film. And so just shooting her, going from one client to the next, and I asked for improv there because I didn't know what was gonna happen. I didn't, she had done so much research and understood what it was like to have to approach a client or have a client approach her, and within seconds read that person and figure out, okay, what do I have to do here? How do I have to change my style, my approach to get that person to go to the private or to be able to make money off of that person? So, and it was so incredible to watch as a director, because at that point Mikey had absorbed so much, she had done so much research that I was able to just record, and I recorded 30 minutes actually. 30 minutes of her going from client to client. It was gold. It was absolute gold, and she was giving me all the exposition I needed to really set that world up. So I just want to say I want to give her props for that, because that's she gave me exactly what I needed for that. And then for me, in terms of my connection to the world of sex work, I have now made 5 films on the subject.
Right,
and
exactly.
to tell you the truth, I never thought I would. It happened quite organically. I never wanted to be seen as a shtick or anything like that, but it just happened when I made this film called Starlet in 2012, just before Tangerine. That was my film before Tangerine. That's when I got to meet sex workers. I became friends with sex workers. I heard their stories. I was even on the set, and I remember my DP saying, well, there's a whole other movie here, and a whole other movie here. And I realized that these are individual stories. These are there's a million stories that could be told in this world, and they're all incredibly fascinating. So I think just one film led to the next, knowing that I could cover a different aspect and be inspired by different aspects of sex work.
Mm-hmm. There's the physicality of it is extraordinary. And risky, actually. I mean, in so many ways, both physically and emotionally. Can you talk us through what it was like, say, to do pole dancing, or one of the physical things? Did you choreograph it? How did you do that?
Yeah, that was something I was really excited about.
You'd always wanted to be a pole dancer?
No, I've always wanted to do something that was very unnatural to me for a character,
Yeah.
and try to master as much as I possibly can to accurately portray a character. And so I was excited about the physical aspect of what I might be able to do and learn for this character, and I wanted her to seem like a very seasoned dancer, like she's been dancing for at least a couple years. And with that comes a lot of visual effortlessness, which is not something that I have. I'm certainly not a dancer, and so I had a handful of months to really dedicate every single day to practicing as much as I can. I was taught by a really amazing dancer based in Los Angeles, Kennedy, who taught me how to give a lap dance, how to twerk, how to do pull tricks, all of which was not anything that I had in my physical repertoire. So it was all very exciting and challenging, very physically challenging. But it's so important, even just for a 20-second scene on a pole. I feel like from that you learn so much about a character. You see like what she could possibly be capable of. And so all of it was really interesting for me. But then it also gave me a certain physicality that I didn't have before. I felt like I was walking differently. I was more in tune with my body and my sexuality in a way that I wasn't before, which was so helpful for the character.
Yeah, I mean, it's astounding because it's like, it's almost like a circus training, or something just completely out of the box. It's pretty amazing.
May I add something
Yeah,
to that?
please do.
In the script, the second date when she goes back to the mansion and she does that dance for Yvonne, that erotic dance over the rug and then onto the couch. In the script, it was how did I word it?
In the script, it said Annie shows off her dancer's flexibility.
Yeah, period. That's the whole scene. That's all. I didn't even know what that meant, but I thought she'll figure it out. And then Mikey, choreographed this dance, recorded it, and sent it to us.
Choreographed it with you, or
no, with Kennedy, right?
I choreographed it with my dance instructor,
Right, okay.
and I picked this song and had some ideas for the outfit. And I remember we went to rehearse it at the mansion the night before, and I did it for you and Mark and Sammy, and showed the whole thing, and you were like, yeah, we have to shoot all of this. Let's make a music video out of it.
Exactly. It was really amazing. It showed, it demonstrates this collaborative thing that we had going on, where I saw what she had done, and I said, okay, this is much bigger than I didn't even imagine this when I was writing, so let's turn this into a set piece. And let's use this moment to actually show the audience how good Annie is at her job. And so it was, so it became a whole day of shooting her in this way, and Drew Daniels really leaned into, as Mikey just said, the music video aspect of it. And I really love that scene, actually.
I mean, it sounds like there was an incredible bond of trust that was built between you in making the film. And I know that a lot of people now are getting intimacy coordinators on their shoots. Was that something you considered, or were there ways that you wanted to set up the set so that it would be safe?
Yeah, well, I feel that, of course, actors should always be offered the option of having an intimacy coordinator, always. Ultimately, it should be up to them. For me, I think we had a year and something of knowing each other, of building that trust, of just understanding what we wanted, to the point where actually Mikey and Mark were suggesting how I should shoot some of these scenes. And so, and as a producer on the film as well. My number one priority when shooting these scenes is the safety and the comfort of my actors. So, you know, of course, it's a closed set. My wife and producer Samantha is a female presence on set, and so yeah, that's how we did it.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not trying to be disparaging towards intimacy coordination. If it works for certain directors and actors, then great.
Yeah.
But in ours, we felt we were, you know, a small, close-knit family
Right.
who knew exactly what we wanted.
Yeah. Could you talk a little bit about the chronology of your shooting the film? Because I feel like you go through such an emotional trajectory, you know, at many different levels during the story, as well as the physical trajectory. So was there any kind of chronology to the way that you're shooting, or was it completely?
We try.
Yeah.
Well, I always try to shoot chronologically.
Yeah,
It's
so,
just,
yeah.
it helps, but you can't. I mean,
Right.
it's simple as that. I mean, for example, we only had, 3 weeks in the mansion. We had to shoot out the mansion. So everything that took place in the mansion was shot at one time. And I kind of like that. I like it mixing up because sometimes you are forced to shoot something later in the script, and that sort of in some way somehow it informs an earlier performance or perhaps style of my coverage. You know, so we try.
It seems like this has been kind of a transforming experience for each of you in different ways. I mean, as someone watching the film initially, I really could see shifts that had happened in your work, very specifically, you know, and I think that the audaciousness of having a film that is dealing with sex workers, but also with Russian mafia, and gets to this beautiful balance between a sensibility that is very driven, but has humor and has, you know, just amazing action in it. In what ways has doing this film changed the way that you work, or the things that you look for? Both of you.
Yeah, I think that making this film has changed me in so many ways, and not just as an actress, which I feel that I've learned so much from making this movie from my other actors, from Sean, all the experiences I had, but also just as a person. I feel like working with Sean and making this film helped me to develop my voice as an actor, to know that my ideas and my perception of the story and the character is really important. I don't know if I ever really felt that before, but I think because of the collaboration that Sean and I were able to have, it really sort of reinvigorated my love for acting and cinema and how I want to feel moving forward on other sets.
Yeah. Well, for me, you know, with every film, there's always so many lessons learned, and sometimes it's just about craft. You know, how to cover, and now I had a little more money than I had on Florida Project, so I was able to use more tools. But you know, mostly it's about my actors. You know, this is the first time in which my entire main cast and most of my supporting cast are seasoned, trained actors. In the past, I've done a lot of mixing, and not that I don't love those experiences that I had with first-time actors and even non-professionals, but this was just so incredible to work with such incredibly talented artists who had brought more years of experience than me, and sometimes being on sets, because as directors you only are working once every 3 years. You only have like 30 days or whatever it is. So I'm actually, as the director, the least experienced person on set, and so to learn from them, it was incredible. They would be giving me variations with every take, bringing so many ideas to the table, and all of their ideas were wonderful. So I was just saying, yeah, give me more. And so I look forward to doing this in the future. Rehearsals became much bigger. I did many more rehearsals on this film, just because I just loved watching I loved figuring it out with my actors. Yeah, so I think that's what it is, primarily.
Okay, what was the first scene that you shot? So you'd obviously, you connected over time anyway, but what was day one?
I think we stole the subway. We're still independent, we're still small. You still have to sometimes steal some shots. So, we stole the shot on the subway. I think that was the first shot where she's sleeping with Dawn behind, breaking behind her.
That was great. And what's your biggest takeaway from each other? If you're willing to go there.
Biggest takeaway?
From working with each other.
That if I could do a Sean Baker movie every single year and that's it, I would be so happy and content with my life.
I'm going to be boring and just say if I could make a Mikey Madison film every year of my life. I mean, it was just such an incredible pleasure to work with Mikey. And it was so rewarding.
That's great. Well, from your mouths to God's ears, may it be so. Thank you both so much for this beautiful work.
Thank you very much, everybody.